Folks, I'm going to call the meeting to order and invite all to rise and recite the Pledge of Allegiance.
I can't see the flag.
Let me ask them. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I thought of it halfway
Like
through.
my town flag tied in.
Was.
They can't see it.
Oh, well. So way this evening is starting. Okay. First item is to approve the September 10th regular business meeting minutes. Could I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Dennis?
I'll second.
Sue? Was it Sue or was it Amy?
Was it tied?
Oh.
Grab one of us.
Okay. I'll give it to Sue this time. I did ask Harmony to make one slight correction, and that was for a vote was recorded as 6-1, and it should have been 6-0 and 1. So Harmony made that correction. Did anyone else have any corrections, those minutes?
It's not showing up. But I'm a yay.
You want me to?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta look for it.
Okay. 6 yeas, Jim.
Okay. And those minutes carry 6-0, and just for new, or members in the audience who haven't been to our meetings before, we do vote electronically now. I try to summarize the votes after each vote. And I should mention that both Mr. Bigelow and our student board representative, Tyler Yankee, are at soccer games this evening. Tyler doesn't sound like he will make it at all, but Mr. Bigelow hopes to join us at some point. Okay, with that, could I have a motion to approve the September 17th, 2020 special meeting of the board?
I'll make the motion.
Connie?
I'll second.
Darlene? Any questions or adjustments with those?
Six yeas, Jim.
Those minutes are approved 6-0. Could I have a motion to approve our September 21st special meeting?
I'll make the motion.
Amy?
I'll second.
Connie? Any questions with those? And could I have a motion? Oh,
Just hit it.
gotta need to vote.
6
Okay,
yeas.
those minutes pass 6-0. Could I have a motion to approve the September 22nd special meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion, Jim.
Sue?
I'll second.
Connie? Questions, additions?
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, those minutes are carried 6-0. Motion to approve the September 23rd special meeting minutes.
I'll make that motion.
Connie?
I'll second.
Dennis? Questions with those? Or additions, corrections?
6 yeas, Jim.
And those minutes carried 6-0. And could I have a motion to approve our September 24th workshop meeting minutes?
I'll make the motion.
Dennis?
I'll second, Jim. I'll second.
I think Sue beat you. Sue, you seconded it, right?
I did.
Yep, Sue. She beat you, Dar.
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, those are approved 6-0. And just to inform the public who may wonder why we have so many meetings, we are usually an active board, but this month was particularly busy because we are in search of a new superintendent. Finally, could I have approval of this evening's meeting agenda?
I'll move it.
Dar,
I'll second.
Connie, any adjustments need to be made?
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, and those minutes are carried 6-0. Brings us to our favorite part of the meeting, really, is the celebration of MACS. And our first item is to recognize this month's Proud to be MACS recipient. Got to make sure my minutes or my remarks are in order here. Okay, I have often thought of the phrase beautiful people as being an oxymoron, in that it often applies to those who lead a lavish, shallow, and vanity-filled lifestyle. A lifestyle that, to me, is anything but beautiful. It is therefore refreshing and an honor to recognize a person that truly exemplifies the meaning of the phrase. Mexico High School social worker Melissa Terzulli is our Proud to be MACS recipient for October of 2020. And Melissa and her family is seated in the rear on my left side, your right side of the auditorium. Melissa grew up in Oswego, graduating from the Oswego High School. After attending Monroe Community College for Criminal Justice and finishing her associate's degree at Broward Community College in Fort Lauderdale, Florida, she returned to Oswego to earn her Bachelor of Arts degree in Public Justice and Psychology from SUNY at Oswego. As she always loved traveling, she moved to Las Vegas, where she earned her master's degree in social work from the University of Las Vegas. While earning her master's, Melissa worked full-time at the Nevada Children's Center as a child development specialist and supervisor. There she worked with foster care children ages 5 to 14 who experienced social emotional disabilities. Moving to the 15 to 16-year age group, Melissa worked in the Wraparound in Nevada program. The purpose of this program was to prepare foster care children for emancipation. Her next move brought her back to Central New York, where she headed the Regional Office of Child Services in Syracuse. Her area covered some 13 counties, and though she did gain valuable experience, it was not the kind that was very beneficial. She found it a bit unwelcoming as she attempted to share the latest techniques and procedures with those that were not very receptive in learning anything new. Once again, she hit the road, ending up in Charlotte, North Carolina, working as a permanency planning senior social worker. She worked to unite children with their families where the children had been removed for their protection or other reasons. Domestic violence was Melissa's niche. Wanting to work in a school setting, she found an opportunity in the K-5 Devonshire Elementary School of the Charlotte-Mecklenburg school system as a school social worker. During that time, Melissa and her husband Aaron were blessed with twin daughters, Emma and Sophia. Missing family, they moved back to the area, settling in Minetto. Melissa secured a job at the Oswego Hospital as a psychiatric social worker and licensed therapist. From 2011 to 2017, Melissa worked at the Fulton High School in their school-based mental health program, where therapeutic services could be provided in the school setting to some 30 to 35 students, rather than relying on parents transporting their students to a clinic for these services. Melissa, however, began to feel confined and restricted working with this select group of students. She wanted to work with the whole student body, as she had done at the Devonshire Elementary School in North Carolina. Her wishes were answered when she was hired as a school social worker in 2017 at the Mexico High School, though she is now called a home-to-school liaison. Based on all of her educational and work experiences, it is easy to see what a valuable asset Melissa is to our district. To reinforce her value, I offer a few remarks from Melissa's nominator, high school English teacher Shannon Bigelow. Shannon writes, Melissa has a tremendous amount of experience and a huge number of resources and connections available to assist students who are struggling. In addition to seeing more than 60 students regularly each week for one-to-one counseling, Melissa also oversees social emotional small groups, works alongside students with attendance issues, makes home visits, connects families to outside programs for more extensive help, oversees an in-school food pantry and clothing closet for students, and works closely with teachers, counselors, and administration on the student support team to identify and assist students in need of more intensive interventions. Melissa is an incredible help to teachers who maintain regular communication with her as a means of gaining insight into our struggling students' lives and methods by which we might further support them. This admiration goes both ways, as Melissa was extremely complimentary of her co-workers, explaining that she has found them to be a very caring staff that exhibits genuine empathy, is welcoming, and who go above and beyond for their students. In fact, Melissa feels so strongly about the district that she has entrusted her twin daughter's education to our care. At this time, I'd like to ask her principal, Ryan Lanigan, to say a few words on her behalf.
Thank you. It is my honor to have an opportunity to speak to everyone tonight about how fortunate we are at Mexico High School to have Melissa on our staff. I can tell you as a principal, when I started in 2016, we knew our students needed the supports, and we were struggling to get them as we truly needed a social worker. And thank you to our board for allowing us to have the opportunity to hire one, and my gosh, we found an amazing one. She is my right arm. She is just a godsend every day. Our students get the utmost care and support. Our faculty is supported and can go to Melissa when they're struggling. I myself will find myself finding my way to her office just to get some relief. She does a lot to lift all of us up and make things better for the kids of our community. We go on home visits together. She's out in our communities. She's helped educate our staff to some of the living situations and struggles that our kids and families have, so we can be more understanding and caring and compassionate when addressing them. And we've seen such a difference in the way our school operates since bringing her on board. And I will say this: it's not programs, it's people, and that's one of the people that we're very fortunate to have on our staff, and our kids are greatly served by her. So, great job.
Great. Thank you, Ryan. When asked about the favorite part of her job, Melissa said that it is the working with and helping our students. She strives to minimize the various barriers and challenges that these students face, like food, shelter, clothing, and their mental health. Though only here for 3 years, I did ask if Melissa had a favorite memory. She responded that she had one associated with MACS and one associated with her 25 years of social work. The MACS memory was the grand success of the Community Connection Day that was offered in the spring of 2019. This day connected some 270 families with the school, community, and outside organizations and support systems. As Shannon Bigelow commented, this event brought together a significant number of community groups and organizations in our building at one time so that local families could benefit from these resources. She coordinated dozens of local not-for-profits, sports groups, job recruiters, restaurants, entertainment groups, and many others. Sadly, her second Community Connection Day had to be canceled as a result of the pandemic. As for her career memory, She is very proud of the difference that she has made in helping young ladies escape drugs and violence and find a safe place. Happily for those involved, Melissa stated that she has had numerous successful outcomes. In closing, I came across these words written by Brant Fagan, a father who recently lost his 28-year-old daughter, Dr. Adeline Fagan, to the effects of COVID-19. His memorializing words of his daughter for others were, "Be passionate about helping others less fortunate, have a smile on your face, and a Disney tune on your lips." And to me, Melissa embodies Mr. Fagan's words perfectly. So Melissa, for sharing your wealth of education and experience with our students and staff, for being such a great advocate and resource to the most neediest of our students, for exemplifying a grieving father's loving words for his daughter, but most importantly, for restoring our faith in what it means to be a beautiful person. It is with much gratefulness and appreciation that we, the board, recognize you as our Proud to be MACS recipient for October of 2020. Would you like to say a few words?
Thank you very much. This was a pleasant surprise. I feel very fortunate and very lucky to be here. As you see, I've moved around a lot, I've done a lot of jobs, and this by far is over the top the best place that I could have landed and will retire from.
Okay, we're going to hold you to that.
I'm very blessed. Everybody is amazing, and yes, like you said, I chose to move my children to this district. They're very happy. We're very happy, and everybody's just wonderful. And I thank everybody for making it so easy for me to work here and help me become part of the MACS family. And that's how I thank you very much for this.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else would like to add a few words? No? 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 Okay. All right. Okay. Thank you. Huh? Oh, yeah, no, I gave it to her.
Okay, and we need a picture.
What she was trying to wave to me was we give a highly prestigious coffee mug to the recipient each month. And I do that now in the beginning so we don't,
And we do need a picture.
yes, and Brandon's here for that. So, oh yeah, that's a good point. Melissa, if you could at some point meet up with Brandon Wood, he's our PR from city, he'll take a photo of you. We'll adjourn here and once we get through the rest of the celebration of MACS so you can get the photos, because we have another photos we want to take. Okay, next is our NYSBA Champions of Change banner presentation.
Mr. Entwistle.
Yep.
So we have Mr. Barry Entwistle from the New York State School Boards Association, who's going to present a banner to Mexico Elementary School, and Lisa Vogler and her staff and students. Mr. Entwistle? Yeah, that would be good.
Yeah, it would be. Depends how but some people have that voice. I don't have a booming voice, so I always have to really.
I grew up with 7 brothers and sisters, so I have a booming voice. Prefer my mask on or off?
I don't know, how's he fit I think you're far enough apart.
Far enough apart.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. I just wanted to ask, because
Yeah.
I do these a lot, and it's always a different answer, so.
Yeah, we're still adjusting ourselves.
We are. I think it's all an adjustment for all
Yeah.
of us. First of all, I want to say thank you for the invitation to attend this evening's Board of Education meeting. The New York State School Boards Association implemented a program several years ago entitled the Champion of Change for Kids. This program has had several evolutions, and we have a statewide committee composed of Board of Education members. And they scour hundreds of programs in school districts, and we do these on a quarterly basis. And so in our most recent submissions, and I want to say it's not even a submission process versus that it's a discovery process. We actually have a team that sort of scours the state and looks for unique programs or events that are kid-focused, that are positive. I think all too often we hear about the negative news around public schools, and this program is exclusively to celebrate the positive successes happening across New York State. And so the committee selected the Mexico Central School District program entitled Students Exceed Goal with 13,700 books read. And initially when the committee had selected this, I had to go back and read a little bit more about the program. And first of all, 10,000 books is a pretty ambitious goal in itself. And when I was sort of speaking with a couple members of the committee, there really weren't a lot of recognition programs on reading, just encouraging students to read. And I think with modern technology today, it seems like maybe kids are moving away from reading, right? They're speed reading, they're reading shorter passages, but to actually sit down with a book, I think is critical. And when I had read the newspaper article, Lisa Vogler had indicated that readers are leaders. And I think that is so true. It is probably the most valuable asset that public schools can provide children, is that love of reading and continue reading throughout their lifetime. So hence, the committee decided that this was a program worthy of statewide recognition. And so this is what brings me into Mexico this evening. We do have a banner that we're hopeful that the school will display. And I think Lisa is here for students, and if they are coming up, I will put the mask on.
Oh, nice.
And just for Lisa and her team, first of all, I understand that the goal was reached in January in Mexico, New York, and we saw your little tent outside. I was showing it to my team. They're like, "She really stayed outside for the whole day?" I said, "Yeah, I think so." I went to school, my undergrad in Oswego, so I know how cold the area can be. But hey, you honored your commitment to the students, and the New York State School Boards Association, on behalf of our board of directors and our executive director, Bob Schneider, the state school boards presents the Champion of Change for Kids to the Mexico Central School District Board of Education. The program, Students Exceed Goal, with 13,700 books read. We're hopeful that you will find a prominent place for this in your school district as you celebrate the success. And to Lisa and her entire team and the students, congratulations. We're proud to provide this recognition to you.
Yeah, very good.
I just wanted to thank you for this recognition. It's so important for kids to read and to get excited about reading. Our kids were so excited that the initial challenge was 10,000 books by the end of the year. I thought May or June would be a great time to stay outside all day.
Right.
They were done at the end of December, starting in January, with 13,000. So we kept going, and they ended up with 22,000 books.
22,000.
Yeah,
books.
we had that
For
information.
pre-K to fourth grade at the end of the year. So your recognition means so much to me as an educator, and you did great some of the kids and teachers and parents who kept it going. So really the kids did it. And I want to introduce our wonderful librarian, Diane Barnes, who was instrumental in keeping kids motivated and making sure that I stayed outside.
No, it absolutely is our pleasure, and we were so excited. I think when the committee had read through, the program itself, they were really impressed. And to look at, a relatively small school district, but this really ambitious goal, and it just shows the passion that educators have in the Mexico City School District, and of course the great support from your Board of Education, because I see these folks had a lot of professional development. So I think it's just a positive culture here, and we're very happy to provide this to you. I was asked by our public relations person, and I know you have your PR here, even with the kids, we would like to get a photo so we can put it in the statewide newspaper.
Yeah, great.
We're on board. It reaches 15,000 people, so hopefully we can, push that recognition a little bit further. But again, it's our pleasure to be here. Thank you so much.
We still owe the kids a little, something that they've been asking.
Oh.
We have to do an eye face.
Uh-oh.
What did
I
you
want to know
say?
if the board is
What did
involved
you
in this.
We still have to do a five-face game.
Ah,
We're gonna do it to kick off the next game.
okay, all right.
I'd like to be invited to that.
No problem.
You want to do the photo? Yeah, I didn't want to keep the kids up.
Yeah, have you got your own, did you bring your own PR person or not?
We did not.
Okay, so Brandon, can you
Thank you.
orchestrate that? And tell you what, we have one more quick award to
yeah,
recognize, and then we'll do
absolutely.
all the
Let's
photos. The next one would be our school safety award.
So I just wanted to give you a little summary. The district.
You may want to use the mic.
You don't have the booming voice.
I'll try.
You might have to turn it on too, I don't know. Here comes Jay. Yeah, it's usually in the bottom. Gotta hold it. Yeah, Jay's coming. Watch out though. He'll get it.
Here's the award.
Oh,
So the district again received the Utica National Safety Excellence Award
A little
and.
closer.
All right, thank you. We received the Safety Excellence Award again from Utica National Insurance Company, and historically the district has had quite a long record of receiving this award. The information I got from most recently was since 2012, and they said there was just a brief year or two where the district did not apply and receive it, but there were numerous years before that as well. So the application process is pretty extensive. This binder is actually a copy of all of the policies, reports, training records, and inspection records that we had to submit to be considered for it. And then there's also a summary and application itself. And Charlene, our city safety person, was very helpful in trying to put all this together, so this was the first time around for me. So when we got the award, we did also receive a $500 check, and it also helps keep our premiums as low as possible. So we will continue to try to keep doing that every year and make sure that we improve and sustain our safety record. So,
Good.
thank you.
good, yeah. And make sure you pass on congratulations to all those involved and keep up the good work and all that. Anybody have any other comments for that? No? Okay. I will entertain a motion to take a brief 10-minute recess just so we can get the photos done. So if somebody would like to make that motion.
I'll make the
I'll
motion.
make it.
Sue?
I'll second.
Dart? Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. We will resume at 20 of. Brandon Wood will be the orchestrator of the photos. Anyone who would like to sign up for our public comment, which will be the next piece on the agenda, there's a sign-up sheet up here with a pen. Please come up and do so. And Sheila, you want to take this back? Thanks for your cooperation with that. We're going to continue on with the meeting. Everybody ready here? Yes? Yes? Yep. Okay. The next, if I can find my agenda. The next item on the agenda is the public comment section. The Board of Education has set aside this time as an opportunity for the community to address the board. Comments should be related to school matters and be limited to 2 minutes. The clerk of the board, Harmony, will signal when you have 30 seconds. She's got a couple of paddles, yellow and red. Yellow is for the 30-second point. However, I will, I usually, if it looks like you're close to finishing, I certainly will allow you to. We just can't have you go speak for 10 or 15 minutes each. Anyway, when recognized, approach the podium and address your concerns to the board and not the audience. Your comments may not address specific staff or students as this presents privacy concerns. Individuals wishing to raise such concerns should do so in accordance with the chain of command guidelines. In addition, such concerns may be communicated to the board in writing. So with that, I have a sign-up sheet that lists 7 speakers, or maybe 6 now, one got crossed out. Is there anyone else before we start that would like to? And if you do, just at the end of the last speaker, I'll have you come down and you can sign the sign-up sheet afterwards. So the first speaker is David Von Holtz.
Got this working, Jay? All right. Ladies and gentlemen of the board, I would like to thank you for the opportunity to speak to you tonight, addressing a topic that I've become passionate about. As we have moved into a very unique time in this world of education, we have experienced many changes. Businesses and schools have reopened, giving hope for many that they can return to a sense of normalcy. In the meantime, people have suffered greatly in many aspects, particularly physical and mental health related issues. Through the whole process, everyone has worked together to follow the guidance from various New York State departments and try to make sense of the countless documents published. Included in that information was the guidance for high school sports. Fall sports were delayed by approximately a month from what a normal school year would be. And on September 21st, all approved fall sports were supposed to begin. The week before sports was supposed to begin, the SCAC League persuaded their member schools to postpone the start of girls swimming and diving until March. That left us with very little options for competition and forced us to follow suit. This ultimately canceled the fall season for our girls swimming and diving team. We are asking the district to allow the varsity swim teams to be allowed to use the facilities for practice and conditioning purposes. The reasoning that I am going to cite for allowing this are the district has set a precedence that is acceptable for organizations to use facilities, as they were aware that organized fitness classes were routinely being held. Organized pickleball league has been held. The SAC program utilizes our facilities. The SAC program is also an outside group that charges to use our facilities. New York State Public High School and Section 3 allow for off-season training and conditioning, as evident from other local schools, districts. They're doing this, allowing sports that are not in session to be allowed to train and practice. Swimming and swim lessons were one of the first activities approved under COVID guidelines earlier this summer. Not allowing proper training in advance will have the potential to cause injuries, especially in a condensed season. Sorry, almost done. Don't give me the red panel.
Give him back 10 seconds.
Probably the most important is the next item that's from page 30 of the MACS reopening plan that states under the social and emotional well-being, permitting the use of team and community building activities. Okay. At the present time, our swimmers are required to travel outside of our school district to get opportunities to access facilities. This is a potential risk to our district, and if we were truly concerned about the spread of the virus, we would keep them closer to home. Wouldn't it be safer to keep our student athletes where we can monitor them and control who they come into contact with? Okay. With that in mind, I ask you once again to considering allowing our own student athletes the opportunities to do what they love and have been looking forward to doing since March 16th. Please open our facilities for our student athletes.
Okay, thank you. Laurel Von Holtz. And while Laurel's approaching the podium or the microphone, just let the public know, the public comment section, we listen to the comments. We don't respond to them. But I'm sure we're going to talk about it later on in the meeting, but typically we don't have a back and forth. It's just letting the public share their views with us. Okay, thanks, Laurel.
Just to touch on a few things that David already spoke about. You know, I'm a parent of 2 swimmers on the team. They're the students on both the boys and the girls varsity teams. Many of them are scholar athletes. Speaking from a parent perspective, the amount of time that's going into the work that they're doing to stay on track with their classes, whether it is honors classes, it is classes that are accelerated, or their college-ready classes. For us to take the time also to be going out of district and taking them to those places is taking also away from the time that they have to put towards those classes to keep their grades in check and to keep their training where it needs to be so that they're prepared when it is time for their season to begin. As a parent, I also know that it has been very difficult mentally for them to focus during these tough times, and this is one outlet that they have that has helped them to stay focused when they need to do the things that they have to do for school. So just something to keep in consideration. It is something that that has been put out there nationally, that this is a low-risk sport. I know there's other things where students, they need these outlets, and some of them aren't the low risk, but this is one that is. So thank you for your consideration.
Thank you, Laura. Carolyn Zedek.
As the athletic director responded to my teammates' email stating that they need to be fair and consistent with authorization of indoor facility use, the only indoor sport permitted to play and practice at this time is swim, which is why I don't understand or find it fair that the pool cannot be reopened at this time. As a student athlete and a swimmer of 11 years, this is incredibly important to me, and I hope that the reopening of the pool will be reconsidered. Thank you.
Thank you, Carolyn. Alexa Van Holtz.
For the past 9 years, swimming has been my only thing I can turn to in a time of toughness. Especially this year, I was looking so much forward to the sense of normalcy of having a season. When that was canceled, my dreams were crushed. This would be my 4th year on varsity. I was very disappointed with the outcome of the decision from the SCAC. Swimming is a low-risk sport, and there is little to no risk, with CDC proving that chlorine inactivates the virus as well. Mexico also already has the safety plan decided with how we can continue practice safely, socially distant from each other. CDC also states that physical activity also helps students focus, and many students need this in the time of need, with we're learning distantly, and not many of us do well with that. Thank you. Please consider reopening the pool.
Okay. Thank you, Alexa. And Retha Van Holtz.
As I have already sent 2 emails, one to the board and one to the AD and the superintendent, I understand the concerns about waiting to reopen the facilities slowly. However, as per the guidance of Governor Cuomo, indoor pools have been permitted to open since June 11th, and many across the state have done so. No new COVID cases in the state have been linked back to the opening of indoor pool facilities at all, because as CDC has proven, chlorine does inactivate the COVID virus. Our district has worked tirelessly to keep all staff and students safe, including the fact that we have an incredibly detailed safety plan for the pool reopening that I believe is 8 pages. We will be able to stay socially distant and keep each other safe with that in mind, and it will also give students a sense of normalcy in this difficult year. I really hope that you guys can reconsider opening the pool.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone else who wanted to speak on the swimming topic? No? Okay. The next speaker is Barry Entwistle.
I think I had initially signed in thinking it was a sign-in sheet.
Oh, did you? Well, hey, this is your chance to readdress the board if you wish then.
I'll just say one thing briefly. October is School Board Recognition Month, and we do appreciate all the work that school boards do across New York State as well as here in Mexico. So we did provide you with a little token gift. It's our new coveted NYSBA mugs. They don't come out very often. They're hot off the press, so you're one of the first boards to receive them. And it's just our way of saying thank you for all of the work you do, and particularly during this difficult environment. We are just amazed at what school boards have done across this great state to keep schools up and running. So, you know, from our board of directors, our entire staff, we wanted to say thank you.
Thank you. Is it stuffed with candy at all?
No, they won't let me put food in it.
No. And the school board thanks you, but it's really the staff and the students that makes this. We just take up seats. That's about it. So, but thank you, Barry, for that. And as long as he is here, I want to remind that the New York State School Boards Convention is coming up. Barry says that he could still get us the early bird rate if anyone would like to take part virtually. We already approved it, so that's not a problem. And what I didn't realize is they will be open until what, December, did you say?
Yeah, so if you sign up and register for the conference, you don't have to watch it on the particular days that it's being offered. We have put a lot of great content in this, particularly looking at COVID now and COVID later, but all the other traditional governance topics. So you can watch it all the way up until December 31st. When you go to an in-person conference, you can only see so many sessions. This one, you can go in and out. You can watch the session more than once. We have student panels. We have musical performances. We have some great educational clinics, phenomenal keynote speakers. We've been working overtime on this, and I think it'll be a great investment for your own professional development because you have so many opportunities before you. So it is over the course of the 3-day period of the 27th, 28th, and 29th. We did them in half days because we are working with a consultant on best practices for virtual conferences. But what we're trying to get the message out to school boards is you don't have to watch it on those days. You can log in at any time from your mobile devices to watch a number of clinics, and I think right now we're up to 53 just the regular clinics plus our keynotes and all the other activities that are associated with it. So I think you'll see the topics very timely, and after this meeting I'll send you a link to some of the updated programs that we've added into the convention this year.
Okay. And I think if anyone wants to, just touch base with Harmony, and she'll take care of the registration part of it.
And the other thing is the voting delegate on.
Oh, yes, the voting delegate.
So our business meeting, you do not have to be registered for the conference, but as you know, these resolutions set the agenda for the New York State School Boards Association. We do have 18 statewide resolutions. We sort of moved out some of the pageantry from a traditional business meeting. It's going to all be electronic. It's on the morning, Saturday morning of October 31st. I think when I came in, I was just checking, Mexico doesn't have an assigned delegate yet. Again, you don't have to be registered, but we do want to certainly have your voice in the larger statewide conversation, and I think you'll find it, pretty educational, particularly some of the topics that are going to be discussed this year. So I'm just throwing that out there, that if you still have time to approve a delegate to the business meeting.
Okay, thank you. Any questions for Barry on any of that?
I do have a question. Barry, the law conference, can you view that later on as well, or is
Yes,
it just?
you can.
Oh, you can. Okay.
Yeah, so I didn't mention, we have pre-communication law conference, which is the week before, and we have a communications conference, but you can watch those at any time.
Same thing too.
Okay.
Good. Because
Thank you.
we typically always have membership going to that as well. Good.
And then if you are looking to register, Harmony, if you just want to reach out to me as far as the rate, and we can
Okay.
work
Sure,
that
we
out
get the
with you.
early bird.
Okay?
Early bird, yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thanks. All right, so now we will move on to presentations. Mike?
So Sheila, we'll have Sheila Roth introduce Dwayne for the external audit. We have a draft for our external audit at this time, and Dwayne has some hard copies for everyone.
So,
This is Dwayne.
yeah, I was going to say, can you explain to the rest of the board,
Sure.
Dwayne, and the
Sure. This is Dwayne Schoen, and he's from Insero and Company CPAs, and they do our external audit. So each year we are required to have a financial statement audit and also an audit of their extracurricular activities fund. And they have completed their field work and have the draft statements to present to you tonight.
Thank you all for a few minutes. I want to apologize for being late.
Actually,
No, the timing is perfect. This is,
I thought it was 7.
yeah, well, that's okay.
It ended up working out.
Yeah, thank you.
So what you have in front of you are
Thank you.
drafts of the audit reports, as well as all the other required communications. So we are still tying up some loose ends, a few things that we need to get wrapped up. The deadline to submit the reports is a week from today, the 15th. So we're getting those loose ends tied up so that we can get everything submitted in time. I want to talk briefly, mostly from the executive summary this evening, and just kind of hit some of the highlights for you of what the different documents are, the results of each one, and certainly if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them. So the first page of the executive summary just lists the different reports that we're issuing and the results of each one. The first couple reports listed on the top, those are all part of the independent auditor's opinion. That's the first couple of pages of the bound packet. We're planning to issue an unmodified opinion, also known as a clean opinion. Means that we believe the financial statements are fairly stated and that they don't require any modification. So that's the kind of opinion you want to have, and that's the opinion that you have. Because we have to do the audit in accordance with government auditing standards, we also have to issue a report on internal control and compliance with laws and regulations. That report identifies no material weaknesses or significant deficiencies in the control system, and also identifies no non-compliance with laws and regulations. So everything is clean in that report as well. And then because the district spends over $750,000 in federal money that gets passed down through state ed, we also have to issue another report on internal control and compliance, but that one's specific to the federal programs. That report also identifies no weaknesses in the control system and no non-compliance with laws and regulations. So that report's also a clean report. Then the last couple of reports that are mentioned in the executive summary are separate documents. So right underneath the executive summary is a communication letter. Auditing standards require that we communicate certain things with the board at the conclusion of the audit process. Nothing that I'd be too concerned about in that letter. It's mostly boilerplate language. It tells you that there were no changes in accounting policies. Accounting estimates are evaluated by us, as well as evaluating the underlying assumptions, and we didn't have any concerns in that area. We evaluate disclosures that are part of the financial statements, and we didn't have any concerns in that area either. No difficulties, no disagreements with management during the conduct of the audit, so nothing in there to be too concerned about. We did issue a management comment letter. We use the comment letter to keep you up to date on changes in accounting standards, auditing standards, anything like that. And the next document underneath the communication letter is that comment letter. I will point out that there was a resolved comment. So for the past couple of years, we've had a comment about fixed asset listings and detailed fixed asset listings. So the district does have a detailed fixed asset listing now. So the comment that we have made about that is resolved this year. So more good news. There are several accounting standards updates that are going to be occurring over the next 2 or 3 years. Those are listed in the comment letter. Most of those will have little, if any, impact on the district. There is one that is occurring next year, Statement 84 on fiduciary activities, and so we did add a comment to the comment letter about that upcoming standard, because one of the things that it may change is the way that the district accounts for its extracurricular activity funds. And one of the key factors in determining how that is going to be accounted for going forward is whether or not the district has, and I'll put in quotes, administrative involvement. And so we would recommend that the district review its extracurricular activity policies and determine whether or not you have that administrative involvement. If you do have administrative involvement, the district would need to account for those extracurricular activity funds within the governmental fund statements. It hasn't yet been decided whether that means that you have to put it in the general fund or whether you have to set up another special revenue fund for it. There's some debate about that, so that hasn't been clarified yet. But it would be in your governmental funds if you have that administrative involvement. If your policy determines that you don't have that administrative involvement, you can continue to report it the way you're reporting it now in your fiduciary funds. Okay, so that's something to think about and to look at those policies over the next several months. Make sure that you're reporting it where you want to report it as best you can. The last couple of documents that are referred to in the executive summary relate to the extracurricular activity funds. There is the financial report. We're issuing an unmodified opinion on that report as well. And then a comment letter that refers to some findings with respect to the testing that we did of extracurricular activities. So the next page of the executive summary is a 5-year trend analysis, mostly general fund information, some information from some of the other funds at the bottom. You'll note at the top of the page, the district's assets in the general fund declined about $400,000 during the year, from $43.2 million down to $42.8. Liabilities declined by about $150,000. And so there was an overall decline in fund balance of roughly $250,000 from $39.7 million down to $39.5 million. The unassigned category in fund balance went up a little bit, about $100,000, and is right at the 4% limit. So you're within the limit under real property tax law. The assigned fund balance went down a little bit because there was less encumbrances. The restricted fund balance went down a little bit because more was taken out than was put in. The bottom half of the page shows the same 5-year trend information for revenues and expenditures. Revenues in the general fund increased a very small amount, a couple $100,000, from $54.8 million up to $55 million. Expenditures increased a little more than $1 million, from 54.2 up to almost 55.3. And then down at the very bottom of the page, you can see a little bit of information on some of the other funds. There was roughly $1.25 million in capital outlay during the year. The special aid fund includes Title I special education programs, 4408 programs, some of those other federally funded and state funded programs. That special aid fund increased a little bit in revenues and expenditures. And then at the very bottom, the school lunch fund increased about $73,000. Revenues exceeded expenditures. The next page of the executive summary gives you some details about the fund balances in the general fund. You can see that same 5-year trend analysis at the top of the page for all of the different categories of fund balance, the restricted fund balances, the reserves, the assigned fund balance numbers, the encumbrances, and then the unassigned fund balance. In the middle of the page is a calculation that shows that 4% limit based on the current year's budget, and again shows that you were equal to the limit in your unassigned fund balance. And then the bottom of page 3 shows activity in all of the reserve accounts, the beginning balance, the additions, interest, and appropriations. The next page of the executive summary gives you a couple of years worth of budget comparisons. So you can see on the top of page 4, the 1920 budget. The district received almost $900,000 less than was budgeted in the revenue budget. Real property taxes was less than budgeted. State sources was about $500,000 less than budgeted. And then the next section down on the expenditure side, the district spent about $2.5 million less than the modified budget. The final budget was $57.9 million, and total expenditures were $55.4. And you can see that those numbers are spread pretty equally across general support, instruction, transportation. All were several $100,000 less than was budgeted. And with that, I will open it up to any questions that anybody might have. A lot of information in a little time. I will say we met with the audit committee in a lot more detail last week, so I didn't want to go into as much detail this evening for you, but I'd be happy to entertain any questions.
I just had one comment. When Dwayne spoke of the GASB 84, about the extracurricular,
Fiduciary, yeah.
we want to look at the policies, but we also discussed looking at the bylaws of the different groups to make sure that nothing indicated that we were financially responsible for anything, or administratively responsible, is that
Right.
the word? Yeah.
Yep.
And we probably should take a look at the descriptions of the stipend for the leaders too, to make sure that we pull anything out that's
Right. Right. Yep.
Indicates we govern them.
Yes.
Yes.
Right.
Agreed. Agreed.
Guess that's it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Terrific. Well, again, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Okay.
you, Dwayne, that was very informative.
Yes.
Explained it much better than I could.
All right.
So staffing, so Liz cannot be here, but, a couple things. One is we added, and the recommendations in there for .5 world languages, and then also 3 teacher assistant positions at this time. And then I'm going to turn it over to Sheila to give a little staffing report.
Just a quick one. We are getting to a really good spot with the non-instructional positions. The only one that is still in progress is the lead food service helper. So we'll be having a little more discussion about that tonight. But the interviews have been completed. We have a final candidate that we would like, and we just have to finalize a couple pieces, and that should be on the next board agenda. I just also wanted to let you know I also added the remainder of the non-instructional positions to the document that Liz has been using in terms of by building and where folks are. So that was uploaded to board docs. If you want to take a look and let me know if you have any questions, that would be great. So, does anyone have any questions on staffing? Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Sheila. Colleen Root, Assistant Superintendent for Curriculum Instruction, will give an enrollment update.
Do you want me to come to the microphone, or am I loud enough?
Well, Jay says you have to come to the microphone.
All right, I'll do whatever Jay says.
There. Apparently the recording doesn't pick up your voice.
Even with your loud voice.
Yeah, I know. I'll try to talk in this voice instead of my usual.
Pity your kids growing up. They must
Yeah.
they ever incurred
So
your wrath.
I'm going to try to, I know you've heard a lot tonight, so I'm going to just try to really be a little concise and just pare down the information. So the first thing I wanted to share is all of the updates, and I think I may have said this the last meeting, have been made to the documents on the initial enrollment. Everything's been double checked, everything matches up perfectly, but so I'm going to send it to Harmony to upload so everybody has access, so in your own time you can take a look through and ask any questions if you have them. One of the other things that is important to know is we are approaching the 5-week mark unbelievably already. So As you know, we are surveying parents. The survey is actually going out tomorrow in order to give time, October 9th. It will be open for 10 days so that parents have the opportunity that if they want to change from either a virtual model to an in-person model, they are able to make that choice at this time. We thought it was important for families to be able to have that option to reevaluate without having to be locked into a certain decision for the entire time. So that survey will be open from October 9th till October 19th. We set it up that way because there is a lot of maneuvering between transportation changes, building, all of those things that will take us a couple weeks to figure out and make sure that we're ready to roll smoothly into the next marking period with choices. So we're not sure how that will look, but we'll see very soon where families are at and have the option. One thing I would like to share with you is that there are limited spaces particularly in the middle school. Some of the slots are at a maxed out level right now with social distancing, and as you know, we've measured all of the rooms. There are specific amounts, according to the governor's regulations, that we have to adhere to that could have an impact. So I have asked the principals to send me ahead of, in each building, how many slots they have for students to come in. I've received that from our elementary principals. I'm thinking elementary is probably in decent shape for that, but if we happen to get into a position that we can't follow the guidelines, which we have to follow for safety, there could be a discussion that happened around doing something such as a lottery of who can come in, which would be a horrible position to have, but yeah. If we don't have the slots, though, we have to figure out where we're putting kids. And according to the governor's regulation, there's not a lot of flexibility with that. The measurements of the classrooms are the measurements. So just so you know, hopefully we won't ever be in that position.
I'm assuming it's 5th and 6th grade is the problems because we eliminated positions. I would rather hire a long-term sub for a classroom than to tell a student that wants to come back to school they can't.
Yep, and that will be a discussion as we get closer and we see the numbers. That certainly will be a discussion amongst everybody to figure that out.
Rooms that has equipment and storage being used for storage that could be freed up for more rooms?
There are not many anywhere. Classrooms really were not, any classroom space that was usable has been used. It depends. In the middle school, there's some spaces we might have to think through, like the music room is one of the rooms that there are materials stored in right now at the middle school. So identifying, first of all, with the principals what spaces are available as far as numbers of slots that are available, and then looking at additional, how can we be creative with the space to try to figure that out. And that's really all of the update that I have. Does anybody have any questions?
Are you still getting people at your IT nights?
Right.
It has really pared down. We did not do it. We did it all through September. We did not do it last night because we only had about 10 families, which is still decent if you can help 10 people. So for now, we're going to do it next week, and we're going to have it every other week in October to see if we can fill in some of that. But some of the, I know for our land techs, the tickets have slowed down. I think they're, Jay, down from about 150 to 54. So that's significant progress. And I think as we're moving along, even though with all of this, there's so many rough patches in adjusting to a second order change in how teachers are teaching, how students are learning, we have to move through that struggle of that adjustment period, and I think things regulate a little bit. And I just have to add this too. I am so highly impressed with our staff, with our students, with our administrative team, and the flexibility they've had and the work that they've put in. And even in challenges that people were extremely overwhelmed, and it's still overwhelming, they have done just a phenomenal job. I can't express enough how impressed I am and how happy and proud I am to work with the faculty and staff and administrators in this district that have just put their whole heart and soul into doing what's best for kids. It truly is impressive and makes me proud to work here and be a leader in this district.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
No, but knowing Colleen's high standards, she wouldn't be saying that if she didn't really mean
No,
it.
it's
And that's
impressive.
I'm sure everyone
Yeah.
appreciates those words. So thank you for that.
Thank you.
And someone who doesn't get many phone calls, I'll look forward to your next robocall on the
Well, it's coming tomorrow,
All right,
Jim,
good.
so no worries.
Thank you, Colleen. And
Very
then,
good, Colleen. You get an A for mask wearing.
Sheila Roth will give she's gonna just give a quick review of the budget calendar, which is pretty standard boilerplate type of calendar, hopefully without any changes.
Right. So we,
That'll depend on where we are come second half of the school year.
right. So Mike pretty much summed it up, but essentially, we just finished our audit, so here we are back again, starting at ground zero and repeating the cycle again. So the budget calendar is all of the required dates that we have to meet, all of the reporting requirements, all of the legal notices, board meeting dates, when petitions are due, when the documents have to be available, budget hearing, notices, and then the final vote date, which will be in May. So all of this, of course, will set as usual, but then subject to change. All of the executive orders from last year did have an expiration date, so if anything changes in terms of absentee ballots and if we can meet in person and anything like that, we will have to approve a new calendar. The good news is we've been through it once now, so hopefully if we have to make any changes, it will be a lot easier, right, Harmony?
I hope so.
Dar and I are
Ready for
experts at
those?
stuffing envelopes. For the-
Right, right. We're ready for that, and we've been through hopefully the worst of it, and
Amy.
hopefully it'll go a little smoother this year. But no changes at all to all of the required dates for the budget calendar. So, any questions?
Sheila, this is the legal calendar.
Mhm.
Do you have some ideas of when you'll start bringing us budget updates?
In terms of starting the budget development calendar, I think we did that probably the next meeting or beginning of November last year, so that is the next step after this, is we kind of set the internal calendar for all of our steps and procedures and how we want to get together with everyone and the timelines of what you'll see. But yeah, that'll be next. You're welcome.
Thank you, Sheila.
Barry, just to let you know, I don't know how much longer this is going to go on. Usually the next parts go fast, except if the superintendent tends to be long-winded, but, so, but,
I travel
but,
throughout the state, and when I come to board meetings, I sit through every board meeting.
all right, okay. I was just going to say, you can get up and leave anytime, you won't hurt our feelings, so, all right. So with that, I'll let Mike give his verbal report.
Well, then I'll be brief now.
No schedule pressure.
I'd like to, first of all, congratulate Melissa Terzulli for Proud to be MACS award. Very well deserved. And then congratulations to Mexico Elementary School and Lisa Vogler, her staff and students for, on an Outstanding Academic Achievement Award, because that's truly what it is. And, they're to be commended for their hard work and dedication to reading, and it's amazing that they read over 22,000 books. That's just phenomenal. We are now 1 full month into the school year, in a couple days actually, and as challenging as it can be, for our staff, all staff, students and parents, under these COVID guidelines and conditions, I would say it's been an extremely successful start, to the school year, the not so normal school year, I would call it. And, this is the new not normal, really. It's incredible, though. I can reiterate what Colleen said. I'm very proud and pleased to be working here and working with the staff and this Board of Education and the administration. And I'd just like to thank everyone for their hard work and dedication. And then I'm happy to report that there have been no positive cases in the district to date, knock on wood. If there were a positive case reported to us from the Oswego County Health Department, I would be the individual that would inform, the Board of Education, the staff, and the families of our students immediately. We would follow all guidance from the Oswego County Health Department. Just to make note, almost daily, we have students or staff who may display symptoms or call in and say they have symptoms, and then they go and get tested. And, and that's actually policy. They have to. It's law. If they don't get tested, they have to quarantine themselves like for 10 days and follow all these steps. But really now, the county health department, actually the Department of Health, has come out and said if someone decides not to get tested and they're displaying symptoms, that after 48 hours, they would actually have to start doing contact tracing and quarantining people who we don't know if they were actually exposed or not, but they may have potentially been exposed. So we are strongly encouraging families to have their students tested and to have, and then staff, same thing, to have them tested. And they've all been agreeing to, and fortunately, to date, they've all come back negative. So, just a side note there. And then all of our contact tracing, or our testing and contact tracing protocol is on the school's website. Again, we refer all cases to Oswego County Health Department. And just a note, there are 2 local rapid testing sites in Oswego County now. So there was only one for a little while, and now the Oswego Well Now Urgent Care has a rapid testing site, and Pulaski Urgent Care has a rapid testing site, and they are busy, extremely busy. In fact, if you're outside the county and you try to get a test, it's next to impossible. They actually accommodate people inside the county first. And people outside the county, if they're calling in the morning at Pulaski Urgent Care at 8 a.m., you'll get a busy signal. And we know this because we had someone trying to do this morning. And they had a busy signal until 8:30, and they had 2 phones going, and they finally got through, and they were told they were already filled up for today. And you have to call the day of. So they started calling at like 1 minute to 8, and that's how busy they are.
Right.
So that's a little update on all that. And really, just the only other thing, our next Board of Education workshop meeting will be held on Thursday, October 22nd at 6 p.m., and it'll be right here in the middle school auditorium. And again, we will be in person, and we will allow a live audience with proper social distancing and mask wearing when you cannot socially distance. That's all.
Okay, that's it. Questions for Mike? No, I was quite impressed to hear that Oswego County has 2 of the rapid test sites. I thought that was great, and too bad, though, it doesn't seem to be enough, but I think it works so far.
There may be more coming.
Yeah.
Connect Care is trying to do.
Right, okay. Next is the student board member report. The student board member couldn't make it, as I said earlier, but he did email me a report, so I shall read it to you. He says that the student senate is meeting on Wednesday, first business meeting, to discuss several items: dress code and code of conduct clarifications, athletic equipment storage solution, math struggles and support, potentially setting up a tutoring program. And then he says honor societies and clubs are still in an awkward state and not fully functioning yet, but ideas are being considered for implementing after school in the coming months. He says sports are going well so far and contests have now started. So I thought it was very nice of him to give us that report. If any of you have any questions, give them to me and I'll make sure I email them. Okay, yeah, at some point.
Can you send that to me?
Oh, sure, I'll get it to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, we've got his email. Okay, committee reports. Advisory committee?
I was banished from my house this afternoon, so my notes are at home.
I didn't bring my notes either.
Am I sensing no?
We did have a meeting,
Okay.
yes. and We went through a bunch of things. The Ames Web,
That's okay. If you don't have anything prepared, we'll
yeah,
take it up at the workshop.
okay,
Okay.
thank you.
Audit committee?
Yes, we met on Monday, was it Monday or Tuesday? October 1st, whatever day that was. When we discussed the external
External
audit,
audit,
and we hope that everyone will
Mhm.
approve that to be submitted as it's drafted.
Okay.
And we talked about the areas of concern, a lack of signatures due to COVID, and the school lunch revenue was a little increased due to increased funding after the COVID shutdown. That was all in the audit
Right.
report. And about the debt service fund, not related to debt, being easily identifiable, it must be transferred to the capital bonds. So I think Sheila knows that, and she's going to take care of that. We talked about the GASB 84 change.
Yeah, now that particular change, is Sheila tasked with following up on bylaws?
I
or-
think policy committee needs to follow up with our policies, but also, we also need to make sure that all the clubs, the after-school organizations that we have, make sure that all of them don't have anything in the bylaws. So
Okay, so who is supposed to undergo, are you asking Mike to task?
probably
Sheila?
Sheila's going to have to contact all of the advisors to make sure they go through the bylaws. Plus, when we, the stipend approvals, the job descriptions, we need to make sure anything saying we're controlling the monies needs to be where that wording needs to go out, otherwise the funds have to be accounted with general funds.
Okay, all I want to make sure is somebody's.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, Sheila.
All right.
We got it.
Sheila and policy committee, so
That's
partially you.
Policies policy we can handle, but the other aspects.
Yes. Will be,
Okay, you jotted that down there? Okay, all right.
I just need,
October 19th is the start of the internal audit, like Sheila spoke of. And we will have a Zoom meeting October 14th to approve the final draft of the external audit
Okay.
at 3 o'clock.
Okay, good.
So to kind of clarify, the 15th, we have to submit
Yes,
the
the
audit.
audit, yeah.
So we're asking for the audit in front of you.
Right,
the-
approval.
Yes,
Yeah.
but this isn't necessarily
Right,
the
this
final.
is the
There could
draft-
be
this
some
is the
changes.
draft, right.
So we will be meeting as an audit committee on the 14th.
Okay,
And then the 22nd, after the fact,
Mhm.
the board will approve the final audit, but
okay.
I'm just
Yeah.
trying to make sure everybody understands.
Right. Everybody understand that on that side? Yeah, okay. Okay.
Sorry.
No, that's fine.
That's all I have.
Okay. All right, good. Hey, I should have mentioned that when we did the agenda in the beginning, but I have a wellness committee report. Amy was tied up with taxes, so she couldn't make it. So we had a small but spirited group consisting of Andy Gates, Kathy Yost, Lynn Bogart, and Jen Granum. I was especially interested because I wanted to hear how all the protocols have been, how they, if they're having any issues with following. And I got a kick out of Jen's report. She said the kids have been great, and Jen, New Haven Elementary principal, to the point where they have to literally tell the kids, you can stop washing your hands now, because they're washing them like they're brain surgeons, and I got a kick out of that. She said the custodian staff seems to be keeping up with cleaning and disinfecting, doing a fantastic job. Sounds like PPE is adequate, however, pediatric masks are in high demand, so I don't know, Sheila, if you got that message, but that seems to be something we need to stay on top of. Andy said that the athletes seem to be handling all the protocols quite well, and it sounds like he's got like a bubble set up. They supposedly at least go to the high school cafeteria, at least the varsity athletes and JV athletes, and then they actually go to the bathroom connected and change. They don't do a locker room, so they do that. The only fear, of course, is that some of the kids can leave because they have driver's licenses and so on, and they may take off. But he said so far he's been pleased with the following of the rules, and they've been, mask wearing and social distancing as they're participating in practice. Lynn Bogart, New Haven nurse, reports that she's been very pleased with the cooperation that she's had from the Oswego County Health Department. Says they've been a great help. They're easy to contact and very responsive. The only concern, and we all chatted about that, not unexpected, is of course the mental health of students and staff. The recommendation is just everybody try and watch out for each other, especially when it comes to depression. Sometimes it's there, but no one knows it, and that can result in some problems down the road. So we're just asking everyone to be looking out for each other if you see any signs, and of course encourage people to talk, because that's always a good thing. And I know Melissa Tazzuli wrote a great email to the high school staff, which we might want to share with the rest of the staff concerning that kind of mental health aspect. So that's all I had. Any questions? No? Okay. Anyone else have a committee report to report? No? Okay. So we have several resolutions. Let me make sure my agenda matches up with the electronic one. There we go. First one is the adoption of the budget calendar that Sheila just went over. Could I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Connie?
Second.
Sue beat you, Dennis. Any questions with it? No?
6 yeas, Jim.
Okay, the budget calendar is approved 6-0. Could I have a motion to approve the external audit, which currently is in the draft state?
I'll make the motion.
Dennis?
I'll second.
Connie? Any questions? No?
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, and that is approved 6-0. Thank you, by the way, very much to the audit committee and Sheila for your working on that. It's never been one of my favorite topics, so I'm glad others have volunteered to do that. And then the final resolution is disposal of items. Could I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Connie?
I'll second, Jim.
Sue? Questions with any of those?
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, and that carries 6-0. The next item on the agenda is personnel report. Could I have a motion to accept that?
I'll move that.
Darlene
I'll second.
and Connie. Any questions with any of the items on that portion of the agenda?
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, personnel's carried 6-0. Next is our second readings for our policies. Could I have a motion for that?
I'll make the motion.
Dennis
I'll second Jeff.
and Sue? Second readings, but does anyone have any questions since the first readings? No? Dar, anything to add? No?
Yeah, there's just second readings of
Good.
and we're winding down on the policies.
She's assuring me we are winding down.
We've just assigned you new ones. so.
Yeah, yeah. Especially if we have to interview every co-curricular, oh boy. Anyway.
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, that's carried, the second readings are carried 6-0. The next item is our consent agenda. Could I have a motion to accept that?
I'll make the motion.
Connie
I'll second.
and Dar? Questions with any of those reports? I did have a question, just to let you know, concerning the outstanding checks, and Sheila did get an answer for me. So Sheila, you want to just inform the rest of the board in case any of them, I don't know if anyone else had that question, but.
I think it was just a question on the wording. One of the previous statement on one of the recent ones said no old outstanding checks, so that just means that there aren't any that are past the 6 months period. It doesn't mean that there aren't any outstanding checks, so now there are a number that have gone to the 6 month period that she's working on, Melinda's working on following up on with the staff.
Okay, thank you, Sheila. Anyone else? Oh, okay.
Six yeas, Jim.
Okay, the consent agenda passes 6-0. Brings us to open business. Paul Seversky, visioning plan.
So it is now October, and I will be contacting him very shortly, as I said I will. Have not contacted him yet. The health center update, the bids have been sent out, and we've actually had people contacting Mike Wood and coming in and looking at the space, and so that's moving forward. The bids, it closes on October 28th, and we will open the bids virtually. So anybody who wants to be involved in that, we'll send you a link, and you can see the bid opening. And we anticipate work to begin sometime in November.
Did Scott, our architect, give us any type of prediction on how bids might be coming in this time as opposed to our?
He
Or
is not
isn't he
sure.
going on record yet?
He doesn't want to go on
All
record.
right,
It's very
okay.
difficult to.
Yeah, I know.
You know, just-
So I guess board members don't be surprised. Keep our fingers crossed that contractors are hungry again, and
They are.
so. Okay.
And then capital project plaques, so Sheila got something out showing some of the different types of plaques and the borders and some pricing. We are actually putting names together. What we'd like to do is have a committee and have a meeting and talk about the plaque itself and kind of look at all the names and see make sure we have all the names on there and hold that in the boardroom, because we have board plaques where we can look at the names on the board plaques also.
Right, that's true.
All right, so if you would like to volunteer to be on that committee, shoot me an email. I'll send you a reminder tomorrow in my weekly update, which will be
Okay.
brief.
Does anybody here wish to volunteer right now, or did you all see the email that Mike has already sent out for the plaques? Darlene volunteers?
I'll help you, Dar.
Sue?
Yep.
Okay, good.
All right.
If you need a third, I would too, but I don't want to impede your girls' progress. I could be the anchor.
Stage extensions, hoping that they're going to be here on October 19th. Very good.
Okay.
And then the high school auditorium, they actually have been doing more work on it, and they're looking at securing the cornice, it's called, which is the molding up across the top of the balcony area. And they did fix that one piece, and
Oh,
so
okay.
it's up there already and being painted, actually. So, and that's that.
All right. Questions for Mike? Any other items for open business? Everybody's happy, good. Additional board discussion. We'll go around the table. Amy?
I don't have anything tonight.
No? Okay. Sue?
I don't have anything either, Jim.
Okay. Connie?
Nope, I don't have anything either.
Okay. Dennis?
So,
Wow. Dar? Anybody? Dar, you're not in your happy place, are you?
No, I'm
Okay.
here. No, I'm here.
No? Okay. Well, I saw a nice piece in the local, used to be the Independent Mirror, now the Oswego County News, where our Andy Gase accepted an award for our scholar athletes. I thought that was very commendable because there weren't many in all of Section 3. I forgot the number, but that was spoke very well, and I know Dave's daughter spoke to that as well. Our athletes do a phenomenal job on the field and in the classroom, and that's always great to see. Okay. Connie, Central New York School Boards?
We are in the process of developing an onboard packet for new members to the Central New York School Boards Association, because we found that some of them are left floundering, wondering what their purpose is and what they should be working on. They're working on a strategic plan. We have a committee that's working on that. And the big deal that they're going to be working on is a new website.
Okay, yeah, and they got some, what was it?
I guess it hasn't been updated in
Well,
quite
you
a
know,
long time.
what they call it, liaison, they got some
Yes,
liaison.
that was, Jim, you're getting out of
Oh,
me.
sorry.
Look at my notes.
Sorry.
Yes, there is a liaison program, and after each board meeting, Renee will send a quick update of highlighting what we discussed to each member, and each member will be a liaison with a couple of districts in our county.
Right. No, I think that's nice, because often, I wouldn't know. I mean, we get nice updates from New York State school boards, but often Central New York, we don't until we go to one of their functions.
And October 29th is the next Pathways
Yes. Yep.
demonstration, I guess is what we call it.
Right. Yeah. I forwarded that
It will be
tidbit from
It will be
Renee.
virtual.
Yep.
CNS Companies is the sponsor, and they're looking for business owners, counselors, and students and former graduates to put on, to speak and give some presentation, if anybody's interested. And that's all of my notes, Jim.
Now, do you want to give that, maybe something to Mike on that, so he could put it out to the
Sure.
high school? I don't know if we can contact any students that might have participated in that.
Okay, all right, sure. Yep.
Because it's, what, would you say, October 29th?
Yep.
So we got a couple weeks.
Yep.
Okay, good. And the Oswego County School Boards?
We have not met.
Okay. Let's see, anyone else for additional board discussion, or something come to anybody's mind? No? Okay. Lots of next meetings. October 13th is our policy meeting at 9 o'clock district office. October 14th, audit committee, 3 o'clock district office. October,
it's a Zoom meeting.
Zoom? Oh.
Yeah.
Oops. Okay,
It's
that's a
just-
Zoom meeting.
It's just to approve of the.
Right, approve the
Yeah,
external
track.
audit, right, okay. October 19th, Finance Committee, 5 o'clock, District Office?
Yep.
Okay. October 22nd, workshop meeting, 6 o'clock here in the middle school auditorium. And then November 5th will be our regular meeting. It says 6 o'clock in the high school auditorium, but as this is one of our visitations to one of our other buildings, I ask anyone that can make it at 5 o'clock that we would meet in the main foyer of the high school and do a building tour. May take a little longer because we got arrows to follow and all that, but we'll get it done. So, Mike, can you ask Ryan, either he conduct the tour or have somebody available to conduct the tour of the high school? That's for the November 5th meeting. Yep, okay. Anyone else have any other meetings scheduled? Okay. Last item is executive session. I definitely have one for item F, the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of any particular person or corporation, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that would be, I guess, individuals A, B, and C. Right?
And then legal matter?
Okay. Litigation?
And personnel.
Personnel? Okay, so you have D, discussions regarding proposed pending or current litigation, and then you have item F as well. You know how many members, or?
Just one.
Just one. So employee, I don't know if you want to do employee A or individual, whatever I left off at D, I guess.
D, okay.
Can I add one employee too?
All right, Dennis would also like to add another employee.
Okay, so A, B, C, D, and E.
Mine's 2 seconds.
Okay. Anyone else? Hope I didn't forget anything, but I think that's it. Okay. Could I have a motion to enter executive session based on those reasons?
Make the motion, Jim.
Sue?
I'll second.
Connie? Further discussion? Okay. Uh-oh, my screen went blank. There we go. I know.
I'm just waiting for you.
Oh, geez, sorry about
That's
that.
okay.
I was snoozing.
Susan, her happy place.
Yes. Thank you. Sorry.
That's okay. 6 yeas.
All right, executive session motion passes 6-0. Thank you, everyone, for attending this evening, and thank you at home for watching. We'll now adjourn to enter executive session. Thank you. And, okay. Yes, we've returned to open session at 10:21. We have one last item to discuss, and that's the requests to open up more of the facilities to especially athletes, student athletes. And what do you want to, we've received emails. I even got a Let's Talk this afternoon. We heard several speakers this evening. Does anyone want to start the conversation?
I'll start. I saw those emails. I think that it's a good idea to get through the fall sports season and then go from there and see what we can do. But I wouldn't be opposed to perhaps allowing them to have some outdoor training time and space with their coaches. I think that would be a good way to meet in the middle.
Okay. It's Chad. And when we say the fall season ends, I believe it's November 4th, so we would start looking at Monday, November 7th, as far as opening up the indoor facilities. Does anyone want to?
That would be just to our teams, correct?
Right, just to our Mexico sports athletes, yes.
And we'd be doing the all the logging of everybody that's coming for that, just like we do, because they're not a registered, so we would be logging each participant for contact tracing.
Right, we would have to follow the New York State Health Department, the New York State Public High School Athletics Association, and the Section 3 requirements.
Correct, just wanting to make sure that we're following that protocol.
Right, right.
No, I have to say, I definitely do understand what,
Yes, very good.
swimmers are
Right.
saying, because it, other parts of the state are allowing swimming. But I
Right.
do understand, us opening slowly, but I, do hope that we can open up for all the swim, the boys and girls swim team, after fall sports, November 7th.
Right. Okay.
And I appreciated the girls,
Yes.
during public.
Public speak, yep, public comment, yep. It's not an easy, to speak publicly is not an easy, easy thing to do, so. Let's see, this side of the table, Connie,
I would agree.
okay, Dennis?
I agree.
Okay, and Sue?
I agree. I do
And
feel
okay.
bad about it, but I do agree. I think opening the valve is slow. Plus, you're going inside with the sports.
Right,
That concerns me as well.
right.
But
And you're talking about if you do it for one group,
yeah,
you
you
need
do
to
it for-
really
yeah.
be able to do it for all the different groups, so it's just not a select group, so.
Right.
And Amy?
I would agree. I also feel badly. I wish we could open up for all of our student athletes right now, but I'm also concerned about the custodial staff and the extra burden it would place on them to have to take care of the stadium and the inside.
Okay, yep, fair point as well. All right, so we'll communicate that to Mr. Sheeto. And I'll do that tomorrow. Any other points of discussion? No? Okay, in that case, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Chad?
I'll second it.
Dennis? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Carried 7-0. Thank you all.